Commissioner Escamilla, Commissioner Leo,
Here.
Commissioner Pham,
Here.
Commissioner Wu,
Here.
Vice Chair Ramos, Chair Oliva.
Here.
Chair, quorum has been reached at 5:31 p.m.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Before we begin, I would like to remind my fellow commissioners to please turn your microphones on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please place the microphone about 4 inches away from you. Thank you. Members of the public may attend Planning Commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in this meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed via our portal at www.santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you would like to provide public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Number 1, join the meeting via Zoom. When the meeting you have selected, you may go ahead and speak on the item you wish to comment on being discussed. Please enter the meeting ID number 823976811178. Select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. Once called upon, remember to unmute yourself and state your name for the record. Number 2, you can also join the meeting by calling 669-900-6833. Enter meeting ID 823976811178. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, press 9 to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you are called upon, you may press 6 to unmute yourself. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the recording secretary. All speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I will alert you when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on non-agenda or non-public hearing items. This includes item number 9 in the administrative matters section of the agenda related to the appeal of revocation of a land use certificate for the property located at 2610 West Edinger. Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please select the hand icon to let us know you would like to comment. If you are calling in and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve item A, minutes from June 23rd, 2025, and item B, excused absences?
I'd like to move item A and B.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wu and a second by Commissioner Benninger. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla, Commissioner Leo,
Aye.
Commissioner Pham,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos, Chair Oliva.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Escamilla and Vice Chair Ramos absent.
That concludes the consent calendar items. Moving on to the public hearing. I will now review the process for the public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. Then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will then be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address, strictly voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. And your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Please note, decisions on these matters are final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Recommendations on these matters will be forwarded to the City Council at a later date for final determination. Before we begin with item 1, I would like to remind my fellow commissioners that we are at a planning commission meeting, and we should stay focused on the items that we will be reviewing tonight, and our comments should be focused on these items as well. Did staff want to make a comment on item 5?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. The appeal application for the revocation of land use certificate 2003-3 was continued from May 12th to this hearing, following a 60-day continuance. At this time, the application is not ready to move forward for a public hearing, so we will be continuing the item to a date uncertain, and at that time, we would be renoticing the item if need be. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to make note that Vice Chair Ramos joined us at 5:36 p.m. and Commissioner Escamilla joined us at 5:38 p.m. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-15 for the property located at 2938 South Daumier Street, located within the professional zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Seeing none, the case planner Fernanda Arias Hernandez will provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Chair. As you mentioned, up for discussion tonight, we have Anchorstone Christian Church. The applicant is proposing request of approval for a conditional use permit number 2025-15. It's located at 2938 South Daimler Street. The conditional use permit would be to allow the operation of a church in a professional zone. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopts a resolution approving conditional use permit 2025-15. The project has a general plan land use designation of industrial flex, and it's located in the professional zone. It's surrounded by professional offices to the northeast, south, and west. The lot size is 5.43 acres, and the unit size that they wish to occupy is 3,843 square feet. The project site was developed in 1978 with existing office complex that's composed of 18 office buildings. In January 2023, the applicant submitted a development project review application to allow the change of use from office to church. Later that same year, the applicant submitted a conditional use permit that was denied by the Planning Commission due to the project's inability to meet the general plan land use designation. And then on July 1st, 2025, the applicant submitted the required documents for review for a new conditional use permit. This slide shows what the site looks like today. The proposed church is located within the 5.43 acre site that was developed with the 18 office buildings. The church would occupy a 3,843 square foot unit. That's part of an 8 8,250 square foot building that's used for administrative uses. The church is proposing administrative office uses Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Worship services would be offered Sundays 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and they would be holding special holiday events from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., but those would be twice a year. This slide shows the site plan, and the red dotted line illustrates the unit that the church wishes to occupy. This is the church's floor plan. The church will not be detrimental to the public health and safety or general welfare of the community and surrounding properties. The church will occupy an existing office tenant space, and all the proposed tenant improvements are contained within the existing building. There are 34 on-site parking spaces provided on-site, and they're not going to affect the existing uses since the office uses are at different hours. The use will be compatible with the existing built environment and will not introduce new adverse impacts related to traffic, noise, or lighting. And through the appropriate conditions of approval and continued code compliance, the project is anticipated to enhance the general welfare by providing a community serving use that aligns with the city's goals of promoting neighborhood cohesion and access to diverse community resources. For general plan consistency, the general plan land use designation is industrial flex. The church will continue to operate as a buffer between residential mixed-use development as intended by the Flex 3 general plan land use designation. The church will also comply with policy land use 2.3 that seeks to provide a diversity of land uses and support the Santa Ana community. The proposed project will provide a religious congregation space where community can gather during hours of operation or during special events. Additionally, the project will comply with policy land use 4.1 that promotes complete neighborhoods by encouraging a mix of complementary uses, community service, and people places. As proposed, the project will promote a complete neighborhood by providing religious congregation uses to the surrounding office and industrial businesses within the vicinity. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act and the CEQA guidelines, the project is categorically exempt from further review per section 15301 or class 1 for existing facilities. As such, there will be a notice of exemption, environmental review number 2025-54 filed with the county, and there are no fiscal impacts associated with this action. As such, staff is recommending the adoption of resolution approving conditional use permit number 2025-15 as condition. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Does the commission have any comments or questions for staff? Commissioner Benninger.
No, no comments right now.
Commissioner Escamilla.
I'm fine for now, thank you.
Commissioner Leo. Vice Chair Ramos.
None at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
No comments.
Commissioner Wu.
Can we go back to the slide about the how many square foot they can occupy? Can you explain the second dot by they occupy 3,843, but there still is an existing 8,250?
Yeah, the 2938 South Daimler is 2 units. The other unit has a different address, but the entire building is 8,250 square feet. And the unit that they're going to occupy is the 3,843 square feet. So the remainder of the 8,250 will remain office.
So the area, the address that the CBUP is applying to is just the 3,843. The other building is not, it's not their property, or they own both property, or they're leasing, what is the,
So I can show you on the site plan. The red dotted line is the 3,843 square feet, and the entire gray rectangle, that's the 8,250 square feet.
so what's
to-
going to go on in the other gray area?
That's an office. It's an existing office space, and it will remain as such.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. The way it was worded, makes you kind of wonder. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
And I don't have any questions for staff either. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter? They're not present. Oh, okay. Recording secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Chair, we have not received any emails in the form of public comments for this item before 3:30 p.m. deadline. If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Okay, with that, the public hearing is now closed. The item moves back to the commission. Are there any comments or questions that the commission has?
I'm okay to move it, but unless Carl is.
I was going to say, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Okay, so motion by Commissioner Escamilla and a second by Commissioner Benninger. Okay, Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Leo,
Aye.
Commissioner Pham,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Aye.
Chair Oliva.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with commissioners all present. Sorry, motion approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-13 for the property located at 320 West 5th Street, located within the Transit Zoning Code, SD 84 zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Seeing none, case planner Douglas Fenn will provide a brief presentation.
Before Doug jumps into the presentation, I just wanted to introduce Doug to the Planning Commission. He is a contract planner assisting us with different projects at the more complex or senior level types of projects. He has a number of years' experience working in Orange County, Inland Empire, so we're happy to have him.
Thank you, Chairman, Vice Chair, and Chair Lady, sorry, and Planning Commission. The item before you tonight is conditional use permit 2025-13. It's located at 320 West 5th Street within Ward 5. The applicant proposes to occupy 1,641 square foot unit within the existing historic building in order to operate a small hall banquet facility for small intimate gatherings. The recommendation tonight from staff is to adopt the resolution and approve conditional use permit 2025 as conditioned in your staff report and within the attached resolution. The general plan designation is district center, medium high. It's in conformance of the GP and the zoning, which is Transit Zoning Code SD 84, urban center area. To the north is the county-owned parking structure, which is referred to as P8, and I'll have an exhibit for you for that. There's also at the northeast corner is another parking structure. To the east is commercial and restaurants. To the south is commercial restaurants and adjacent parking lot for those restaurants and commercial uses. To the west is the Ronald Reagan Federal Building and U.S. Courthouse. And as I referenced earlier, the unit size is 1,641. If you look at the red arrow, you see the area that's hyphen, it's colored red. That is the actual unit. There are other units in this structure. As for background, the subject site is developed in 1926 for 23,567 square feet as a two-story building. The building is currently listed in the National Register of Historic Places and contributor to the Downtown Santa Ana Historic District in 1984. The building is listed at the Santa Ana Register of Historical Properties as key and is known as the Knights of Phias Hall. Since the development, the building has always been occupied for commercial and professional office uses. The current uses, we have two eating establishments, Bandido Taqueria on the hard corner. We have Olive Green, and there are two uses for office. And 320 West 5th Street, proposed tonight, is for the small banquet hall. The applicant proposes to occupy, as I referenced earlier, is 1,641 square feet of the 23,567 square foot building. The primary use is for a banquet hall, and during the week, the hours of operation will be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. On the weekend, it will be from 7 to midnight. On Saturday and Sundays on the weekends. The applicant proposes to make the facility available for meetings, parties, ceremonies, gatherings, and dining groups. They're looking for a particular market niche where a lot of people, smaller businesses and such want to have a Christmas party or whatever, and it's only 20 or 30 people, and so they can't go to a big facility. It's too expensive, so they use their office. I'm just kind of using that as an example. And this will be capped at 49 persons. The proposed bank facility itself is 699 square feet, dedicated for the banquet operations. You have 353 square feet for the preparation area, 345 square feet for the kitchen, and 244 for office and storage uses. And there's a future exhibit. We'll kind of show you this, the floor plan. As part of the request, the applicant proposes minor interior tenant improvements to update, the restrooms, the kitchen, office, and storage rooms, bring it up to current code and to their specifications. There is no outdoor dining or operations are proposed as this facility. There's no entertainment permit. Now, if they decide they want to expand, they will have to come back later and do an entertainment permit per the code. And I just want to bring up real quick, there is no ABC permit license with this project, but if someone does want to have wine or beer or whatever, there is a provision through ABC license that you can apply for a day use permit, 221, and they just go through that process, and we have the police department will keep an eye on them, make sure everything is copacetic. Here is an example of where they're going to be looking south, and 5th Street looking southwest. This is actually the side of the building. I'm going to show another exhibit of the elevation and explain a little bit some of the architectural detail. This represents the shaded area of the unit of the site plan, pretty elementary. Now the floor plan of the shaded areas is showing the square footage we mentioned earlier for the kitchen, the preparation area, the banquet, and the storage. Now in the elevations, I just want to bring that, just to let you know that the style of the architecture is a Baroque influenced Spanish colonial revival when this building was built in 1926. Let's see if this should. You see, okay, good, you can see it. This is a representative of the Spanish Baroque influence, is that element. And all of you are aware that actually the building, a lot of the fenestration is facing Broadway. That's actual entrance. And then you have the recessed Palladian type windows. And then there's a lot of more ornate look where this is the side. It does not have the ornate look in here, but it does have these finial elements. And none of that will change. It will just remain as is. No exterior changes. Okay. Pursuant to Code Section 41/2007 of the TZC, establishment of vacant facility is per a CUP. The project will have to be in conformance of Code Section 41-199.1 of the Municipal Code, including maintaining the well-equipped kitchen area, providing adequate sanitation facilities. The project meets the operational standards of the banquet facilities per the general plan. It also supports the several goals and policies in that it's basically creating jobs, retention of jobs, compatibility of the existing uses in the area, and diverse economic base. And the use will not be detriment to the existing working or residing in the area. Furthermore, no residential or other sensitive receptors are located within the immediate vicinity of the area. It's basically performance of the setting. I just want to talk a little quickly about the parking. As you pointed, I discussed earlier, we have the P8. It's not coming up. But anyway, just go back real quick. I just want to point out, because we are not expanding the size of the footprint of the building, and it's within the subzone TCZ, there is no trigger for additional parking. Also, the proposed parking facility is surrounded by parking structures, and within the staff report of all of the P8 and the other Ps and street parking, you have about 1,800 parking spaces within the area, and we don't see that as an issue. And just lastly, because this is an existing facility, Section 15.301, it's a Class 1 exemption per CEQA, and there will be a notice of exemption environmental review 2025.2 will be filed for this project. And we recommend, again, as stated earlier, to adopt the resolution approving the conditional use permit 2025 as conditioned in the resolution. And that concludes the presentation.
Thank you. Does the commission have any comments or questions for staff? Commissioner Benninger.
One quick question on, being that we're going to have a group of folks in here, does the city require any fire alarm requirements, automatic systems, anything of that nature?
It will all have to be in compliance with like Title 24 of the building code and fire code.
Okay, and does that code have an automatic alarm system?
It should have an automatic alarm system. That's all per code.
I think this is an ideal project. I love it's going to bring people down, and for someone who played for a few Sunday showers, yes. I was a little concerned about the number of people. I think that's ideal for that.
Commissioner Scamilla.
Yeah, so I guess just the quick question on the resolution, still requiring the on-site security guard, even though we're kind of at about 25 to 40 people here?
There's no on-site security guard.
Okay, just because
particular
my
case
understanding generally for banquet facilities, they always require
For entertainment purposes.
No, not even like as part of the entertainment code, just as part of the banquet facility code, like it requires an on-site security guard, which is to my point of just saying that I think it's an onerous requirement. So if it's not being required here, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I just think that we should be looking at this as a code, as a portion to revise in the code of, to give you more flexibility as to what that security need is. And in fact, I think that the parking ratio that is typically required for banquet facilities is way too much. So if you've ever been to Taqueria de Anda, when they have, like 3,000 people, or not 3,000, like 300 people in there, they're more than adequately parked, like at their current ratio. So I just think it's a little bit much as far as what we're asking for banquet facilities. So as we look at zoning code updates, this would be one section of the code that I would look to revise and make it a little bit easier, along with making it easier for the individual to have a entertainment license of a sort, especially in the downtown district. I think if we can do that as a ministerial approval process that's, very directly straightforward and relatively less onerous, I would like to see this as much more of an entertainment district, because right now, individuals, and locations do have live entertainment, but it's not, we don't really crack down on it, but we don't necessarily allow it. So it's one of these weird areas where I think the businesses are ahead of what the code kind of currently allows. So that's really the only comment there. But, thank you for the presentation.
Commissioner Leo. No question. Vice Chair Ramos.
Just one question. This was previously the Mil Jugos restaurant, correct? The Venezuelan restaurant. Okay. Great. Just for context, in case people are wondering what it was, that's what it was for a very long time. Thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
Thank you, Chair. Do we have specifics on the tenants that are above the proposed space? Is it just office use?
Typically, in these downtown buildings, the second floor is offices. I can confirm that.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think this one might be where the lockout studios are, which I think is how we classified the lockout studios as offices. So they're like insulated recording studios and places people just hang out. Actually, I'm more worried about the basement sound on the roofs, because there's a bunch of basement units there
Right.
too. At one point, yes.
Yeah, my only point to bring this up is because I'm assuming there's a lot of hard surfaces in this unit, and because it's a historic building, I'm sure that the sound prevention is not per the latest code. I would just recommend that moving forward, or if there are language within the executed CUP that kind of limits, larger than normal PA systems. I know these banquet halls, if there's an event, they use PA systems, that it doesn't kind of intrude to the adjacent neighboring suites. That's kind of my observation on the noise analysis on the staff report.
Commissioner Wu.
What is the relationship between that building and the county parking lot? Is there a lease agreement, or?
Not that I know of that there's a lease agreement. It's pretty much open to the public.
So it's open to public?
Commissioner, if I may, actually, as a point of clarification, that building is entirely private. It's the government parking only. So it's not for parking for any of those tenants. That's the only area that I know that it's not public parking. It's specifically for the federal building. I think there's a couple of signs that state that.
So the only parking lot nearby there is the one across from Chapter 1, right?
There's
Surface
the
parking?
northeast, hold on.
What was that? Oh, across the parking structure? I'm sorry. I thought you meant the parking lot behind it. But it is a government, a county parking structure that's open to the public until 7 p.m., and I think that's when it closes. So it's the only parking structure that doesn't open as late as the city-owned parking structures.
And what is the hours of proposed operation again?
During the week, it is 8 through, hold on, let me just.
6,
look at my
right?
page. 8 o'clock through 6 p.m., and on the weekend, 7 a.m. through 12 a.m.
And weekend being Saturday and Sunday?
Correct.
Okay. I like this project. I like to see that empty space used. My concern is the city in terms of providing parking downtown, not only for this facility, for the existing facility, and as we promote more usage as people come back from COVID, I'm concerned that the city hasn't done enough parking. But under the invasion and occupation at this point, and the Viking raids, I guess that's a moot point, because traffic is kind of light in the downtown area. But going forward, as we see this space being utilized, and people not afraid to rent it, I like to see that they can walk safely from the parking lot to the building and back. So I don't know what we could do about it. I mean, we're approving this as is with the existing parking, right?
Existing parking in the area, correct?
Yeah.
There's no
Okay.
parking on site.
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioners, if it helps, staff report, page 4, outlines that there's 1,837 parking spaces within the 5 parking structures that surround this project. Moreover, by operation of the law, AB 2097 doesn't even require any code parking
Right.
anymore.
Yeah, I understand that. It looks good on paper, and it's the also parking meters too, right? But you also got the trolley, right? Okay. Which means that we should use that more often then.
Commissioner Escamilla.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Wu's question about the parking spot across the way and its hours of operation. So as a little bit of background, we did experiment with, the county did experiment with extending the hours of operation for that parking lot, but found that demand was relatively low except for like the Friday and Saturdays evenings. But if that was something for the applicant in the audience that they'd like to pursue in the future, there is an open conversation available for them. So I just wanted to kind of note that for the public and for the applicant, if that's something that they would be looking at in the future potentially, and to, alleviate your concerns about parking too far away.
I don't have any questions for staff, but if any other commissioners have any other comments or questions? Okay, with that, the public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter? Please approach the microphone.
Hello, can I just begin? A little closer here. Hello, my name is Josh Bonet-Macon. I am the representative of this application, or I guess the applicant, on behalf of Eventful Space is what we plan to open at this space. Me and my wife are planning on opening this space, like mentioned by Mr. Doug, that we will be hosting a micro venue. Essentially, that's the project where we maximum 49 people for micro events and gatherings, bringing a lot of life to downtown Santa Ana. One thing I wanted to mention right off the bat before I forget is that parking, I know that we mentioned, might have been a concern. One of the main parking structures that we plan to utilize is on, I believe, 4th and North Burt Street. It's already being utilized quite a bit on the weekends, but there's still plenty of available parking there for the city of Santa Ana that, of course, would be bringing also revenue to the city of Santa Ana based on the events that we have at the space. And we imagine that hopefully as we continue to grow and see a lot of, I guess, incoming guests for the weekends, that will be great for the space, or I guess the city. Something I also wanted to mention regarding the P8 parking structure that we brought to the attention of everyone in the application, though that does seem like it is only used for government use. We have opened the conversation already with Orange County in regards to that parking structure, and they mentioned that they were open to the idea of opening it so long as they see that there could be a potential revenue stream that would take care of their, I guess, operational expenses on the weekend. Before I forget, also I'd like to mention that our architect and civil engineer is also on via Zoom in case there are any questions that I am able to answer. We can also direct questions in. His name's Dr. Negi Abushadi. But as far as the project, we just plan to bring a lot of life, continue and encourage the economic and culture of the city of Santa Ana, and we're excited to community over here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Recording Secretary, have we received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item? You're
Chair.
able to take a seat. Mhm. We'll bring it back to the commission after the public hearing.
Chair, we have not received any public comments. If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to go ahead and speak. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds.
I have a point of clarification. I noticed there were members of the community that came in that are perhaps a part of the Historic Resources Commission or have been, and I just wanted to make sure that we let them know that now would be their time to speak if they wish to, before we close the public hearing.
So the members of the public were here to speak on an item that is being continued indefinitely, and we're just going over some clarifying items as far as timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to the commission for any comments or questions for the applicant. Commissioner Benninger?
I just want to say welcome to Santa Ana. I think it's a great project, and as the father of a bride and a few showers for children, that's a beautiful idea. Thank you.
Commissioner Benninger, thank you for closing. I'm going to close the public comment since we don't have, the public hearing, since we don't have any comments from the public at this time. So the public hearing is now closed, bringing it back to the commission. Thank you so much. And then I don't know if you would like to approach the microphone in case there's any questions or comments that come up. Commissioner Escamilla.
Yeah, no, I guess same as Commissioner Benninger. Welcome to the city, or to operating your business down here. I did want to also let you know that there is also, I think, with P8 the opportunity for monthly lease passes. So if that's something that kind of works out for you, and a certain number of specifically kind of ticketed parking spaces and reserved parking spaces, that might be something to also take a look at. But either way, yeah, it's a wonderful building with the Knights of Pythias. So a great history there, and you should have some pretty interesting neighbors, both above and below you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leo. Vice Chair Ramos.
Just thank you for bringing your idea to the city. That space itself is a beautiful space, was occupied by a delicious restaurant, and excited to see that it will no longer be vacant. So thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
Thank you for the presentation. Out of curiosity, why did you choose to use the space as a banquet hall versus a restaurant? It seems like similar usage. There's a back of house, there's a cooking facilities, but what was the decision there?
So we actually specifically wanted to, in the city of Santa Ana, find a restaurant space, because just like it says in the code for all banquet halls, what's necessary for a banquet hall to be approved is a kitchen, and a lot of other facilities that are within a kitchen. And that is something that's difficult to find unless it is a restaurant, and very, very expensive to build if there's not there existing. So that's why we wanted that. Or we specialize also, we also have another space in Fullerton, an eventful space in Fullerton, where we do exactly what we plan to do here. And that's why we're bringing that specific business to Santa Ana. And why we targeted or wanted to have a restaurant space was so that we could fulfill the necessary requirements that were necessary for a banquet hall. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Commissioner Wu.
I guess my question is twofold. One to staff, and then also to thank you for bringing more entertainment to our city. My question regarding the entertainment part of their banquet hall, does that mean that we could have live music?
There is no entertainment permit with this project tonight before you.
But it's allowed in a banquet hall, right?
If they want to have entertainment, then they have to come back and submit an entertainment permit.
Oh, okay, so they just apply for that
That's
thing,
not
that
before you
neighborhoods
tonight.
apply for entertainment,
Yeah,
right?
it's in the future. It's not before you tonight.
Okay. That's what I was wondering, how they're going to be able to, now getting back to this fantastic project. It has a kitchen, so are you going to be the caterer on site?
So actually, we do not plan to provide help or serve with
Okay.
food or drinks, actually.
So you just provide for them and their caterer to use that?
Exactly, and that's something we actually plan on hopefully assisting a lot of the local businesses surrounding us, is that the guests will be welcome to, look to any of the local restaurants and vendors that can provide that food, drink, and whatever they're looking for to accommodate their event. So that'll support the local.
There was another person that was proposing a event center, which was a great idea and where they want to have it, but we didn't approve it. And that's not the 4/10 what we're going to do. But I'm curious, but his clientele was like the entertainment modeling thing where they bring in their entourage and they take their pictures and their entourage get to eat something and stuff like that. Do you envision that kind of thing, or a neighbor association decide to have a Christmas party there, stuff like that?
So I'm sorry, I'm a bit blurry exactly the idea that you're painting. What we do plan to target for the space is mainly micro events such as baby showers, bridal showers, where someone isn't necessarily looking for a wedding level style venue that's going to cost them a lot of money, but just a space that provides an intimate.
No, I wasn't suggesting that. There's a lot of businesses there that there's space, like there's a hip hop recording place, yeah, and other groups like that would like to have a meeting room or a teaching seminar and stuff like that. I look for spaces like that so they hold seminar.
Yeah. We aren't going to discriminate ever
Yeah.
in terms of who is allowed to use the space, so long as they are going to comply by our rules and make sure they're going to be having safe and responsible event.
And that seemed to be implied by your hours of operation. During the weekday, it closes at 6, and on the weekend, it's open a little later. Right?
Exactly. And our tour hours are, I guess the week hours that are mentioned in the application are actually geared mainly towards tours, because a lot of people, when they're booking an event, they would really love to see the space to ensure it accommodates all of their needs, not only the look of the space from the inside, also the outside, the parking, that everything works. So whether it's event during the week or just tours, that's why we have the hours as we have them now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing your business to Santa Ana. I think it's a really great idea. I don't have any questions for you. Last call for questions for the applicant. No questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Is there a motion to approve this matter?
I make a motion that we approve.
I second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Benninger and a second by Commissioner Wu. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Leo,
Aye.
Commissioner Pham,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Aye.
Chair Oliva.
Aye.
Motion approved by unanimous consent.
This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2025-14 for the property located at 3600 South Susan Street, located within the specific development number 58 SD 58 zoning district. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Seeing none, case planner Pedro Gomez will provide a brief presentation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and fellow commissioners. Thank you. This third item is a request for approval of conditional use permit number 2025-14 to allow the installation of an exterior fuel dispenser and paint booth at 3600 South Susan Street. The applicant is requesting a CUP pursuant to the city's noxious use ordinance. The project site has a general plan designation of industrial, or IND, and has a zoning designation of specific development 58, or SD 58. The lot size is about 5.583 acres in size, and the property is surrounded by the Caris Building at Calvary Chapel, Santa Ana, to the north, professional office park and parking structure to the east, a processing center to the south, and the Lake Center Business Park to the west, which is now referred to as South Coast Technology Center. On October 15, 1990, the City Council adopted an ordinance allowing for the rezone of certain properties from light industrial to ST 58. In July 18, 2005, the City Council adopted a second ordinance and resolution which further amended ST 58. And then the Lake Center Business Park was constructed in the mid to mid-late 1980s with three-story office building, and an additional 320,000 square foot office space was approved and entitled, but it was never constructed. On September 11, 2023, The applicant submitted a development project to facilitate a new industrial park concept called South Coast Technology. On July 8th, 2024, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and approved the amendments to SD 58. On August 6, 2024, the Santa Ana City Council approved the first reading of the required ordinance. In August 2024, the City Council approved the second reading, thereby adopting the overall project. The amendments to SD 58 introduce permitted and conditionally permitted light industrial uses, updated development standards, including height, parking, fencing, and established frameworks. And on January 28, 2025, building permits for site grading, building shell construction, and site work were issued for building addressed as 3600 South Susan Street, which is the subject site for today's CUP. And that's located here on the screen where the cursor's pointing at. Building permits for tenant improvements for the same building were issued in June of 2025. And May 28, 2025, building permits for the site grading, building shell construction, and site work were issued for the buildings addressed as 3100 and 3120 West Lake Center Drive, which are the other two sites adjacent. The site is still in active construction today. And there's some background on the noxious use. In December 2022, the City Council adopted an urgency ordinance establishing Section 41-199.4 to require a CUP for noxious uses located within 500 linear feet of a sensitive land use or sensitive receptor. And following that urgency ordinance, the City Council adopted a standard ordinance establishing the same requirements for the noxious use. And in June 20th of 2023, the City Council adopted an ordinance amending that section, expanding the separation requirements from 500 to 1,000 lineal feet. The project site is currently under construction and will consist of a light industrial building with office, warehouse, and manufacturing uses. The building is being developed as part of the South Coast Technology Project, which was mentioned earlier. And this specific CUP is a request for approval of installation of a 1,000-gallon above-ground Jet A fuel dispenser with an automatic monitoring and alarm system. The dispenser will be located in the south parking lot. And the proposed paint booth would be installed within the southwest corner of the building and will help support on-site manufacturing processes. The proposed project requires permits from Orange County Fire Authority, the California Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or CAOSHA, and the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And the subject site is located within 1,000 lineal feet of sensitive receptors, specifically the Calvary Chapel Private School Program, and then residences in the city of Costa Mesa near Susan Street and Sunflower Avenue. Therefore, the project is subject to the requirements of Section 41-199.4, the Noxious Use Ordinance, and requires the review and approval of the conditional use permit. So on the screen, we have site photos as of a week or two ago. This is kind of the active construction, and this is specifically 3600 South Susan Street, the subject site. We've included the overall site plan so the Planning Commission can take a look. You may recall acting upon the zone ordinance amendment that was required as part of the project, but we have the South Coast Technology Campus, which includes this building here, which is the subject building, but it includes 3100 here and 3120 West Lake Center as well. These two buildings are not part of the CUP and are not being considered at tonight's public hearing. This is the subject site plan. You can see that this is 3600 South Susan Street. And this is highlighting the location of the above-ground fuel dispenser. And you can see in this image to the right-hand side, kind of a closer image that you can see it be located within the parking stalls, adjacent to the landscape planner, with connections required to then have a fuel pump within the building itself. Here we have the overall floor plan proposed. You can see that there's the location of the paint booth, and this is located entirely within the building. Again, the location of the above-ground fuel dispenser. And then just for reference, here's kind of a close-up image of the floor plan for the paint booth, and then kind of an elevation of what that system would look like. So floor plan on the left-hand side and then paint booth on the right-hand side. And as far as analysis, staff determined that the project would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare, or damaging to the physical environment, neighborhood, or community. The project would not pose a significant environmental risk to any of the surrounding sensitive land uses, as the proposed uses are commonly used in industrial settings and are highly regulated to ensure safety. The fuel dispenser is a commercial-grade system used by manufacturing industries for on-site vehicle and equipment fueling. It includes built-in safety features, including real-time monitoring, automatic two-stage shut-off valves, electronic calibration, and secondary spill containment. And the tank would be located on the south parking lot, screened by existing landscaping and the building itself, and not visible from the public right-of-way, and would not be used for the general public. The dispensing component would be located inside the building with proper ventilation and the spill containment. The fuel system is designed for controlled transfer operations to test mechanical components that are manufactured by the facility. And installation of the fuel system will comply with all applicable standards set by OCFA, CAOSHA, and SCAQMD, and the California Fire Code. The paint booth is fully enclosed and includes air filtration and mechanical ventilation designed to meet all applicable standards by SCAQMD. In addition to meeting strict emission limits, the booth will incorporate a 3-stage filtration system to capture particulates and ensure that the air released outside the building meets health-based standards. And because the equipment is used for limited scale operations that are common in industrial settings, because it was permitted and regularly inspected under SCAQMD rules, it does not pose a risk to air quality or nearby sensitive uses such as schools or residences. The project is consistent with several goals and policies of the general plan, specifically goals 1 and 2 of the land use element, goal 2 of the safety element, and goal 1 of the economic prosperity element. The project contributes to the general plan's environmental justice objectives by minimizing air and chemical exposure in proximity to residential areas. And the equipment used on-site includes spill containment and air filtration systems subject to routine inspections and permits issued by OCFA and AQMD. And the project complies with state and local oversight hazardous materials requirements, reinforcing the city's commitment to community health and environmental safety. In accordance with CEQA, the project is exempt from further review pursuant to Section 15183 of the CEQA guidelines. The project is also exempt from further review pursuant to Section 15301, new construction. And a notice of exemption for this project will be filed. There's no direct fiscal impact associated with this action. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving conditional use permit number 2025-14 as conditioned. Staff does want to note that the applicants are in attendance both here physically and virtually as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, Pedro. Does the commission have any comments or questions for staff? I'll start with Commissioner Benninger.
This may be for the applicant, but concern about is there containment around this proposed tank?
Commissioner, could you repeat the question?
Okay, they're going to be storing 1,000 gallons of Jet A fuel outside. Is that tank going to have containment around it?
Could you clarify on containment? Are you looking to see if it's secured by like a fence? Or?
My background in chemical industry, we always had a containment around a tank. So if a tank sprung a leak, it wouldn't spill out onto what have you on it. And I don't. This may be more a question for the applicant than what it is for city. So I think I'll reserve. I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scamilla.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In just confirming that this was really triggered just by the proximity to Calvary Chapel, but is it roughly like 1,000? I thought it was more than 1,000 feet away at that point.
Let's take a look. So this one here is the Calvary Chapel preschool. There's a high school to the east, and then the residences to the south across the city boundary. Okay. So those are all within 1,000 feet. Yeah.
Okay. No, that was just the, okay, clarifying point then. No, I'm good.
Commissioner Leo,
You answered my question.
Vice Chair Ramos,
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
To clarify, the use is permitted by right, right? The only reason why it's in front of us today is because of its close proximity to a sensitive use.
Exactly. So the separation requirements and the regulatory requirements that are established in that section 41-199.4, those kind of combined together means that it needs a discretionary approval by the Planning Commission. Had it not, either or, if like it had a regulatory permit that's required and it wasn't within 1,000 feet, then there'd be no CUP requirement. It's meeting both of those thresholds.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner Wu.
How many government agencies have looked at this project and approved certain elements of it?
So far, I know that Orange County Fire Authority has given either preliminary approval or approval of the specific uses for the above-ground storage tank and the spray booth, possibly. And then moving forward.
AQMD?
Yeah, moving forward, should this be approved by the Planning Commission and permitted by the city, they'd have regulatory requirements by AQMD as well.
Does the fire authority in there here at all?
Orange County Fire Authority does, yes,
Okay, so you have at least 3 agencies, including the planning department.
including, yes.
Okay.
I don't have any questions for staff. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter? Please approach the microphone.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm Pete Perzado with Perzado Associates, representing the applicant, the property owner, as well as the tenant. Want to thank staff for a very, very detailed report, and we have reviewed all the conditions as presented to you. We're in agreement with that. I do have a team here that if there are any questions or clarification, we are here to answer your questions. We don't have a presentation. We are happy to be a corporate citizen in the city of Santa Ana and look forward to getting these 2 approvals so that we can complete the project. In response to your question, Commissioner, OCFA has already approved the permit for this, and we still have to go through a couple of more agencies to get the final approvals. And as conditions that have been presented to you, we have to obtain those before the final approval. So we look forward to your approval. And again, I do have our team members here, and very quickly, we do have containment for the tank, but if there's more specifics, I do have Dave Peterson here that could respond to those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll have the Planning Commission ask questions now that we have you at the podium. Commissioner Benninger.
Thank you. I appreciate knowing that there is containment for that tank. The tank's going to be a pressure vessel. What kind of pressure are you going to be operating under?
I'm going to defer to...
The technical questions.
Apologies, there's a chain of command at work here. This is meant to operate only at a nominal pressure above ambient, so that has a pressure release valve. This is not meant to be a pressure containment vessel, so it's not a certified pressure vessel in that sense, where we're meant to hold multiple atmospheres of pressure.
Okay, and generally operate a few ounces above atmosphere.
I'm sorry?
The tanks like that generally operate a few ounces above atmosphere?
That's right. It's mainly because we don't want the fuel off-gassing. So we don't, because that would be noxious into a waste of fuel. But at the same time, what we don't want to do is have a pressure buildup there, because it's not designed for that, and that's not the intent.
And if it would exceed that, how high is the vent away from the tank?
That I unfortunately don't have available to memory, but that's something that we can come back to. But that's again, it's meant to just keep a nominal vaporization down.
And I assume that this bursting inside the building will have vapor return, so that any vapors displaced will be captured?
That's exactly right, because we are planning to do this fueling internally, and that's just for everyone's health and safety.
I don't know if there's any regulations on this per se, but around tanks like this, it's very wise to have no parking, no storage, so you don't put a bunch of pallets next to it. I've seen that in my time with Dow Chemical.
Right, and that's also the purpose served by the physical barrier around it. It's not just for sight, but to prevent let's just say unwise storage,
Correct.
or incompatible storage in the region.
Correct. That's all my questions. I do say with the paint booths, knowing that they're approved by air quality, that is very significant, and they will get permits. They'll have to be renewed every so often and also inspected. So I feel very comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scamilla. Commissioner Leo.
If you get all the approvals, when do you think you're going to be completed with the project? Because I know that this is attached, these are 3 buildings that the tenant needs in ASAP. So I'm just wondering what Segerstrom's timeline is to, what you're hoping, let's say your hope.
So we are already under construction.
Right.
And we do have a schedule, and so as soon as possible.
There's a professional answer, thank you.
Vice Chair Ramos.
No questions for the applicant at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
Just for clarification, the tanks are they underground or they're above ground?
Above ground.
Okay. And in general, does the site need to be decommissioned if the use is no longer needed, since we're storing fuel in the area?
Oh, absolutely. So there's all sorts of regulations with regard to the material, the tank, the disposal of it, and if you were to decommission the use, you have to go through all those regulatory and permitting process before you just leave the site. Absolutely.
And would that be just regulated to where the tanks were located, or the entire parcel would need to be decommissioned?
Both.
Both, okay. Appreciate it, thank you.
Commissioner Wu.
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. Thank you so much.
Thank you
may
very
take a
much.
seat.
Appreciate it.
Recording Secretary, have you received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Chair, we have not received any public comments. If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Does the commission have any comments or discussions? Commissioner Pham.
Just a question for staff. Typically within the city, when we have lots or parcels that require decommissioning, when a new use is introduced to that parcel, is it from your standpoint, is it harder for future applicants to engage in a parcel that requires decommissioning? Or is that just kind of part of the process and that's not a kind of hindrance to kind of develop the lot in the future?
Good question. It sounds like it'd be just part of the process. If there is any new development or new construction or anything that requires permitting process, oftentimes we require soils reports, environmental studies, phase 1, phase 2, to confirm either the presence of noxious uses or whatever in the soil, and then remediation possibly if there's something that rises to a level that needs to be remediated.
Yeah, I'm in general supportive of the project. My just concern in the future, because we have a lot of vacant lots, especially kind of vacant gas stations that becomes vacant for a very prolonged amount of time. And my suspicion is that there is a cost associated with transitioning a parcel that had a hazardous use on it. And so, we would hope that the current tenant and the current property owner operates the parcel indefinitely. But I think that's a consideration for future projects, as well as not only for the current use, but how viable the lot is for future use. Yeah. That's all for me, Chair.
Vice Chair Ramos.
Yes, I have a general question for staff and more so for just the record and anybody from the public that might be listening. But everything that the applicant is proposing, and so with the way that the applicant is proposing these things and considering all of the various approvals that they have to get beyond the planning commission, does the staff feel confident that there won't be any negative impact to the surrounding community, specifically around the noxious use?
Yes, we do, and we gave a positive recommendation because we're confident that this is not going to be a detriment.
Great, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this matter?
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Benninger and a second by Commissioner Leo. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham?
Aye.
Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva?
Aye.
Motion approved by unanimous consent.
Before we move on to item 4 on the agenda, I wanted to propose a break to my fellow commissioners. Would we be open to a 15-minute break?
Sounds good.
Okay, 15-minute break. We'll be back at 6:57.
Was president of UAW What's his name? Polanco was there. Oh, I don't know. San Gabriel Valley.
All right.
Oh, yeah? Talk about signs? Do a chant.
Is this your first time?
Yeah.
Wow.
In this city, anyway.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, oh, talk to me. Oh, and I just realized, Christian, you got a tie.
I know,
Look at you.
Exactly. So they can-
I'm trying to like figure out myself.
As a professional?
Yeah.
Me too, I'm like.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna bring like a plate next time.
Show up like.
No, I am. Yeah.
Walk like that too.
Yeah. He's permanent, then he has to move.
I don't know if it's. That's a good look. Is it? But look, does that look like it's okay chocolate? It has like, you know how it gets like a little bit of a different color? Perfect. Big chocolate. Upright as this. Glad I'm not in my planning commission outfit anymore. On the keyboard. Of course.
What did you do?
I went home at lunch.
Oh.
I was in blue, like everybody else. Didn't happen. Great start to my Monday.
Okay.
So the mic is on when I.
Recording secretary, can we restart the meeting?
Chair, the meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you. This is the time and place for zoning ordinance amendment number 2025-02, amending proportions of Chapter 41 zoning of the Santa Ana Municipal Code to establish regulations as it relates to 8-frame signs in the city of Santa Ana. Before we begin, do any commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? Seeing none, case planner Holly Safran will provide a brief presentation.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, fellow commissioners. Tonight, we're going to hear zoning ordinance amendment number 2025-02 to amend Chapter 41 zoning of the municipal code to establish regulations for A-frame signs. The staff recommendation is to recommend that the City Council adopt an ordinance approving COA number 2025-02. So some background, at its May 6th regular City Council meeting with unanimous support, the City Council directed staff to draft an ordinance to regulate A-frame signs. A-frame signs are also known as sandwich boards or sidewalk signs, and they're portable, self-supporting signs shaped like an A, like the two reference photos at the bottom of the slides. And they're typically consisting of two panels that are joined at the top and designed to stand freely on the ground. To prepare this ordinance, an interagency team of PBA and PWA was formed in order to provide consistency with both the public right-of-way and public or private property. So some of the proposed changes currently in the code, A-frame signs are prohibited. So we're going to remove that reference to A-frame signs being prohibited and then allow them without permits. We're also going to allow one per business establishment and then add a definition to define A-frame signs in the code. So we're going to regulate the location of A-frame signs. Specifically, A-frame signs shall be placed within 50 feet of a business entrance when located on private property, such as in a shopping center. A-frame signs in the public right-of-way shall be placed directly in front of a business and within 5 feet of the business entrance. They cannot be placed in any manner that obstructs or impedes pedestrian or vehicle traffic and shall remain, you shall maintain 4 feet of clearance on pedestrian pathways at all time and must be placed 24 inches from the curb face. They also must not be placed in measured areas that obstruct the vision of motorists, and PWA will be putting out a guideline for A-frame signs to show where they cannot be placed in the public right-of-way. So potential locations, on the left-hand side is an aerial view of a public shopping center that shows the green areas where the potential A-frame signs can be located, as long as they do not impede vehicle traffic or pedestrian traffic. Again, on the right showing how an A-frame sign has plenty of space for pedestrians to move around, at least 4 feet of clearance, and placed at least 24 inches from any curb face. Also, the top picture here shows correct location for an A-frame sign when located on a public right-of-way. It's out of way of the pedestrian traffic, allowing the 4 feet of clearance, and also placed at least 24 inches from the curb face. At the bottom, we can see that a frame is posted in a vehicle travel lane, and that is not allowed, and also not allowed to be attached to any structures in the public right-of-way. They need to be able to be removed by anybody at any time. So some of the standards that we're proposing, the size of an A-frame shall not exceed 36 inches in height and 24 inches in width, and an A-frame sign shall not be less than 24 inches in height to provide good visibility for pedestrians in the sidewalk. Also, A-frame signs shall be constructed of durable, weather-resistant materials and kept in good condition. They shouldn't be deteriorating in the public right-of-way. Also, time of placement, A-frame signs shall only be displayed during operating hours of the business and should be removed and stored when the business is closed. So here's an example of our maximum and our minimum signs. So maximum height 36 inches and minimum 24 inches. So the project is consistent with several goals and policies of the city's general plan economic prosperity element, specifically goal 1, job creation and retention, 2, economic-based diversity, 3, business-friendly environment, and 4, economic development strategies. These signs are meant to attract customers that are, and thereby supporting the city's economic growth and community benefits, including job creation, business retention, and increased public revenues. Permitting and regulating A-frame signs enhances marketing and advertising opportunities for business, and it encourages small businesses to develop business development and entrepreneurship. This project also supports the city's goals of maintaining a thriving commercial environment by increasing business visibility. Pursuant to CEQA and CEQA guidelines, the project is exempt from further environmental review pursuant to 3 different sections, 15060C2, C3, and 15061B3. And there is also no direct physical impact with the associated action. So staff's recommendation is to recommend that the city council adopt an ordinance approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2025-02 to amend sections of Chapter 41 zoning of the Santa Ana Municipal Code relating to A-frame signs. And that's the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the commission have any comments or questions for staff? Commissioner Benninger.
Not to be totally crazy, but do we need to say anything about obscene language on these signs?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Do we need to put into the ordinance that obscene language is not permitted on these signs?
Oh, obscene language, you're
Yes.
saying.
Mhm.
Let me go through.
Commissioner Benninger, short answer, no. And the reason for that is that there's a multitude of Supreme Court cases that talk about cities' abilities to control content on signage. But the Supreme Court has also ruled in instances where there was obscenity, that obscenity is something that you know it when you see it. And so, so ultimately, by operation of the law and like sort of like case law, things like that, there's really no need to. But I would also recommend if the commission were interested in adding that as a regulation, that you be absolutely clear in sort of what you're trying to define as obscenity and all that, because otherwise it gets very murky.
We're not going to get into 7 bad words.
Yeah, exactly. No George Carlin.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Scamilla.
Yeah, I think, no, definitely appreciate the staff coming up with kind of like what I think is like first draft. I think it might be some minor edits that I would be looking to do. So I just want to have most amount of flexibility for the, whatever business wants to kind of use the A-frame. So not so worried about the A-frames within shopping centers and everything kind of within private property. But I still feel that there might be some limitations on anything within where we are kind of seeing these A-frames, like so along Main Street, everything with like a 0 lot line location. And in fact, I think, one thing I would take a look at is what flexibility we might have within that kind of 25 foot from the corner question, because, so for me, I love small blocks. I think they're a better walkable environment. It's what we see like in the downtown with our kind of older, smaller blocks. But then now they're at a disadvantage for A-frames, because if you go 25 feet to 25 feet, that leaves you with only 25 feet in the center. So I don't know if that particular section of the code needs to be tightened up a little bit, where there might be exemptions for, except like right in front of the property and just outside of that sightline diagram that I think still is going to be included by Public Works. So I know that that's probably the intent of not having it within 25 feet, but it seems like it might be overly onerous. And in fact, still then you're going to be back after the downtown businesses realize that it's legal everywhere else except in the downtown because their blocks are only 75 feet long, So that's the, I think one thing we might want to take a look at a little bit more closely.
Got it, thank you. And Public Works will be putting together a guideline specifically for the public right-of-way for where these can be located. So that will give some more clarity for that.
Cool, thank you. And yeah, because I think right now then with the 4 foot clearance and then the 2 foot setback from the curb line, so we're looking at minimum of 6 foot wide without a parkway. So like, again, just all those things together, there might be certain segments where that's not necessarily fully possible for particular businesses, and it might just open up some issues. So I don't know if that just means going through previous citations for A-frame signs to see where they're distributed, and if any of those kind of like, if any patterns emerge from those cases that have already been cited.
Thank you.
If it helps, Commissioner Escamilla, for the whole commission too, the average downtown block is 275 feet. So if you subtract 25 feet from each direction, that leaves you 225 feet for frontage. And then your typical downtown property width is 40 to 50 feet too. So there's still opportunities to balance like motorist safety. I know we try to balance all safety, but motorist safety and having A-frame signs.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Leo.
Question, in the ordinance, there doesn't seem to be a process to allow you to enforce it. For instance, let's say, because it's going to be a new ordinance, and you send it out to the Santa Ana Chamber, the Chamber sends it out to a bunch of businesses, and businesses start to do it. Is there a procedure? There's no procedure in the current ordinance that says you get a warning and then you get fined. Because, as Manny said, there's plenty of people that may do it. Question is, the proliferation of signs and people not in conformity to the So I'm wondering if we need to be explicit in the ordinance and say, this is how it's gonna work, so that a business can read it, say, I'm gonna conform, and then if I got my warning, next time it is, guess what? There's a fine. Just because we're trying to help business, but at the same point in time, we don't want the proliferation of signs that are detrimental to the city as well. So I'm trying to figure out if, you guys figure out what you think is necessary, but it's just some process. Because you guys can send an email to the business and say, hey, look, I saw your A-frame, it's 48 by 24. Could you reduce it? In the ordinance, it says this is your warning. You know what I mean? So that you don't have to constantly be monitoring the signs and give yourselves a process. And so that the business knows what the process is. So if they're out of compliance and they just ignore your email, then it's up to them. Whether it's $50 or whatever you guys decide, come up with just something simple. But to me, that was the only thing missing from the ordinance. Everything else is self-explanatory.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll look into that. Ricardo, do you have anything to add?
Sure. So this, much like some of the other ordinances that are in the municipal code, there is a code enforcement process that would apply. So if someone is in violation of this or any of the other items that don't require a permit, they would be notified with a warning, and then there'd be progressive enforcement that includes citations. As far as businesses knowing what the limitations are, part of the overarching plan is if ultimately this is adopted by the city council, we would then prepare marketing material to share with the business community so that they're aware of what's allowed and what's not allowed.
It kind of reminds me of when we had the ordinance and the regulations around people painting the glass of their business. Like some people would go overboard and you'd have to go, hey, here's where we're at, please fix it. And if you don't, then there's a process. But I appreciate your comments, Ricardo.
Vice Chair Ramos.
Thank you. Yeah, I had similar questions to those raised by Commissioner Escamilla. And I know Commissioner Escamilla was asking questions about block size. My questions were about very similar, but sidewalk length or sidewalk width. So I know in the ordinance there are specific restrictions, and there has to be a certain number of feet of clearance. So my first question is, how wide is the typical sidewalk in downtown? So from business front to end of the sidewalk, I think one, how many feet is that? And then also from business front to a planter, because some of those planters are pretty large.
Monica Suter will come up and answer those
Thank you.
questions for
Yeah, so my questions will be very specific in nature, so I apologize.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your question. We haven't looked in detail throughout the city to get the exact averages of what's out there, but what we do have is that we've seen a lot of areas are about 8 feet wide of sidewalk. So most of those have an area that will provide for the ability to put in an A-frame sign. Also, some areas have 12 feet. And then there might be some areas that are a little tighter in certain areas, maybe in the Logan neighborhood. I haven't actually gone out, or staff hasn't gone out and measured those yet, because our focus was to get this put together, although we've looked at some pictures to kind of get a sense of what we think we can do and to make it as practical as possible for the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think I have just a little bit of concern that we don't have some of those numbers and that we're putting like very number specific limitations in this ordinance. So I'd want to make sure that as much as possible, a lot of our, if possible, all of our commercial corridors, no matter how small, have the ability to also take advantage of the benefits of such an ordinance. So I have to share that. I was also wondering, how are we, and this may or may not be a question for you, but how are we defining a business establishment? So I know that's a term being used in the ordinance.
So it would be a business that has a certificate of occupancy to occupy a tenant space.
Okay, so for example, in the downtown where there is a space that might have 4 units and each unit might have 3 different sublease tenants in there, so with 3 different businesses, how many A-frames could be had by that example?
Yeah, so In the case of like 4th Street Market, when there's multiple tenants in there, depending on what's in the guidelines set by Public Works and the public right-of-way guidelines for A-frames, we'll be able to know what the distance requirement is for the A-frames on the public right-of-way, and then how many could be allowed there, and then up to the, it's up to the I guess the overseer, the owner of the property, to then distribute the A-frames to the businesses or share them amongst the tenants.
Okay, thank you. So I have no recommendation on that. I know that one's a little tricky, but would ask staff to just consider that. And some of these downtown I've seen a lot in the downtown where a specific small unit might have 3 or 4 different businesses inside. So just thinking about, and then also knowing that the downtown can be very dense business-wise, just trying to come up with a way where as many businesses as possible can be able to use the A-frames, would be a general recommendation. And then on Commissioner Leo's comment about the enforcement piece, so when he was speaking, I also thought, oh, this would likely fall to code enforcement. And I know that code enforcement, I believe like all departments will publish a fee schedule on an annual basis where they might state what a fine might be. So I would recommend that as a commission, we leave it to that versus trying to stick to or trying to name a number right now in the ordinance. I'm just concerned that it might become too restrictive. And that number might need to be revisited on an annual or so basis. But
And I will add to that, that if there is a fee schedule, it requires council approval for that.
Okay,
because
so
it's
we
in
as
the
a
budget
commission-
Typically every year. So if you're making recommendations to do that, then that would need to be part of the council action, I would assume. And I'll defer to the.
Thank you for that. So I guess
Yeah.
just point of clarification for us as commissioners to know, would we as a commission be able to recommend any sort of enforcement amount tonight?
I just want to re-echo what our acting planning manager was saying, that enforcement, unless it's a public nuisance, a short-term rental violation, or a cannabis violation, all other enforcement follows the city's typical process, begins with an administrative warning. And then if the warning is not cured, then it jumps to staff having the discretion to issue a financial fine. And then it's escalating. So depending on a reasonable period to cure, address. So for example, our code enforcement division rarely has cause to jump straight to like $1,000 fine, let's say. It usually begins with a sort of like someone visiting and saying, hey, you know, your sign is attached to the pole. That's not allowed. It's city property. Oh gosh, I didn't know. Thanks. Fix it on the spot. Especially with these types of signs, there's no like deconstruction of them, you know. But if repeatedly it's going unheeded, then it's like, okay, now I have to put something in writing, $100 initial citation. You ignore that, $500. You ignore that, $1,000. So there's an escalating scale, but it never jumps straight to $1,000 for something as simple as something that could be literally taken down in 30 seconds. I also do want to touch on the downtown street grid. So just from my own experience working on projects like Rafferty and others that have come before this commission, the typical downtown sidewalk width is about 10 feet. It gives ample space for these A-frame signs, and then where planters exist, it can be around 7 feet in width. So one would likely not want to install or, you know, place an A-frame sign right at the point of constriction where the planter is, but like even 2 feet in either direction would still maintain like the 4-foot clearance needed for ADA access. So our downtown, plus our major arterials already have the 10-foot sidewalk widths with like the 4-foot tree planters. So still there's opportunities to have the signage as well if it's a citywide corridor as well and they meet the code standards.
Okay, thank you. That makes me feel better about the ability to implement and this being useful. And I don't want to set an amount today, but I just wanted to kind of respond to Commissioner Leon, thinking that there is a fee schedule there. And I think that's all for me now. Oh, sorry, one last thing. And I'm sure that you all already do this, but I do think Commissioner Leo raised a good point on sharing with like the chamber what, if any, what enforcement might look like. So I would just ask that whenever this is adopted, if it is adopted, that that information be shared with, and share that, like other things, this would be a code enforcement matter, and that those fines would be set by them.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Ramos, I want to just add one other thing. A lot of our focus during this process was, well, hey, where we have constraints like 8-foot sidewalks, those are the harder cases to solve. So we do have more generous, like 12-foot areas and then 10-foot. So we're looking at it in terms of, okay, that's our kind of constrained version. So our focus in developing these guidelines is to kind of look at that, to Manny's point, or Commissioner Escamilla's point, that we want to make sure that we try to be as flexible as possible in areas that are kind of constrained, where the business might be right up to the corner, for example.
Yeah.
So we're kind of looking at the worst case scenario from the perspective of them being able to figure out how to be as generous as we can while still attending to safety, obviously, visibility, ADA, American Disabilities Act compliance, and then not to distract too much from what else is going on in the roadway that we're responsible for.
Thank you for that clarification, because I was thinking about it in the same way, and that's why I've been using the downtown as an example. So,
excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Pham.
Thank you, Chair. I want to piggyback on the question about what defines a business. So there's a lot of newer projects that we've been approving with live work units. So if you have an accountant who operates in the live work portion of their condominium, but they don't per se have an occupancy, I hope they have a business license, but whatever that situation may be, would they be allowed to erect a frame signage?
Yes, as Ricardo said, that if they have a business license, an established business, they will be able to place an A-frame sign, especially on the public right-of-way, as long as they're meeting the guidelines that are set.
All right. Yeah. So if they do not have a certificate, a business certificate, and it's more of like a mom and pop or interior design, one person shop, then that would preclude them from having signage?
If they're operating without a certificate of occupancy in the manner that you're describing, it sounds like a home-based business.
Right.
So a home-based business is not a commercial establishment. It's typically from a residence, so they would not be allowed to have an A-frame sign.
And would this ordinance supersede HOA guidelines? Because a lot of these units are governed by HOA? No? Okay. I see Ali shaking his head.
As someone who is routinely victimized by his HOA, I can tell you. No, I'm actually the Karen of the neighborhood probably, but I will say that no, these are baseline regulations. HOAs can always go above and beyond unless the law precludes them from doing so.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wu.
What was the impetus and motivation in terms of updating the A-frame?
And I think Ricardo or Ali can speak to this at the city council meeting.
It's a council-directed item that was brought forth to the council and then voted with unanimous support to bring this ordinance before the council by August of this year.
Which councilman brought it up, or councilperson?
So the item was initiated by Councilmember Lopez, and then as our acting planning manager shared, was unanimously supported by the council with direction to the city manager's office to return with an ordinance by August.
My second question is, this is a city-wide ordinance, north, south, east, and west, right? With major arterial, small neighborhood barbershops, small neighborhood childcare centers, and whatever. Now, this only applied to A-frame. Some other people use those flags or banners. That's not included in this, right?
Correct.
Okay. My question is that I see a lot of boarded up businesses, okay, that had a A-frame. So if the motivation is to attract business there, what is our problem in terms of address getting traffic to these businesses that may not require a sign because they have a sign up here? Now, why you need an A-frame to do that? Not that I'm against this. I'm looking at how do we stimulate more traffic towards our businesses, okay? In a population that maybe certain population have their stuff delivered to them and pay a higher price. Or they go to the mall, okay? But we're not patronizing neighborhood and small businesses. We think of downtown only, but there's Main Street, there's Edinger, McFadden, all along Harbor and Fairview. There's little tiny businesses, flower shops and all that. So I'm thinking of equity in terms of, if this is the motivation in terms of allowing people to sign to draw off traffic there, are there other ways that we could accommodate that? And I guess I'm going off the track, and I apologize, because the question is, do we want to have this, and how do we control it and all that? The motivation and all these other business things does not apply. So, and the flags don't apply, right? The banners and the little jumping bit people don't apply. Okay, so we're just only looking at the A-frame. So in terms of the A-frame, I do see motorized skateboard and motorized scooters whizzing down these streets where these potential signs are. And you're trying to accommodate it by saying the location, but do we have a problem of sharing street with these speeders, and these motorized bicycles, So I don't know. You might want to think about that in terms of well, I guess by specifying the thing, we've done all that we can for the insurance and the business owner in terms of location. Is the city going to be liable for specifying it now?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Well, when you regulate something, and if I was a business person, right, and I comply with the city saying it could be located here, right, and some idiot comes scooting by on the skateboard and ran right into it, and I say, well, I comply. I didn't put that to be in his way, but city said I could put it here and I comply. So who then is responsible? Who's liable? So I guess I could sue the business owner and the city, right?
We can defer to our city attorney, Melissa, to answer
Well,
any
I
liability
would thought
questions.
it has nothing to do with a problem of suit, but it just brings up all these things in terms of how you regulate it.
Sure.
Which
I
is a
do wanna-
public works nightmare, right?
I want to be careful about comments about liability and public works nightmares in a group
Yeah.
setting like this. But what I do want to share is that every draft ordinance is heavily vetted, not just by our staff agencies, but also our city attorneys to minimize risk and liability to the city. But
I can confirm that, and I think that staff made great efforts to make sure that it addresses any kind of safety issues that could be an issue of liability for both the city or any other property owner. So I think your question is really about liability, and I think you kind of said it. If there's ever any kind of an accident, obviously folks look to sue whomever,
Right.
and that's something that we can't control as a city. But we reviewed the ordinance, and again, staff made some great efforts to make sure that it addresses any kind of issues, any risks to pedestrians and to other drivers that may be passing on the street, all of that. So we're comfortable and
And I think
again,
there's some
reviewed it
wording in
several
there
times.
about safety, so, I feel good. The thing that about these signages is that we could oversign ourselves, in order to try to drive the economy and business our way. So I think there's a bigger concern, I guess, for the Economic Development Division to look at how, what to do about drumming up businesses for our local traffic. And maybe that's something that we should talk about, Anyway, I'm sorry.
I don't have any questions for staff. The public hearing is now open. Recording Secretary, have you received any written communication, or is there a member of the public that would like to comment on this item?
Chair, we have not received any public comments. If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Do the commissioners have any comments or questions? Commissioner Scamilla.
Thank you, Chair. Just two quick things. So I know on the width, we put it at 24 inches as far as like the overall maximum width for the signs. There are some A-frames that are usually kind of like the thicker plastic ones where it's the maybe purchasing something that's like 24 by 36, but the actual width of the frame itself is like 25 inches or so. So just kind of like flagging that so that, you know, there isn't like maybe that hard and like fast rule for citation purposes. But I know a lot of these might be slightly oversized. So I just wanted to do that and flag that for you. And then I guess the second item, this does seem like it might be like a work in progress, so I don't know if there can be any sort of recommendation for City Council to essentially review and kind of have a report back. It doesn't even need to be any sort of public, any sort of public discussion again, but you know, just a 6-month check-in, like, hey, here's what's going on, is kind of part of the recommended action once this gets over to council. Just I guess informally or formally check in with council after implementation, presuming it gets implemented.
Yeah, unfortunately, Commissioner and other commissioners too, we are in the middle of a comprehensive zoning code update. So, you know, if something's not right with this in the next few months, we have a time to come back and revisit.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve this matter?
A motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Ramos and a second by Commissioner Escamilla. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Scamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham?
Aye.
Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva?
Aye.
Motion approved by unanimous consent.
That concludes the business calendar. Moving on to administrative matters. The item up for discussion is the election of officers for the 2025-2026 term, which will take effect starting the next scheduled meeting. We will now accept nominations for chairperson. Are there any is there a nomination?
So, Chair, I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Masudi.
Thank
Ramos?
you. I accept.
You accept? Okay.
We have a nomination from Commissioner Escamilla for Vice Chair Ramos. And Vice Chair Ramos accepted. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Wait a minute, you're not running?
No, I am not.
Okay.
Somebody can go ahead and submotion.
Oh,
we need a motion? I thought it was just a vote.
I'll second.
I'll second, okay.
so we have a nomination by Commissioner Escamilla and a second by Commissioner Wu, and an acceptance by Vice Chair Ramos. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Scamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham?
Aye.
Commissioner Wu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos?
Aye.
Chair Oliva?
Aye.
Motion approved by unanimous consent.
Thank you.
We will now accept nominations for Vice Chairperson. Is there a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Carl.
I accept.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a nomination by Commissioner Wu for Commissioner Benninger, and we have a second by Commissioner Leo, and Commissioner Benninger accepted. Secretary, please call for a roll call vote. I think I'm saying it all backwards. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Benninger?
Aye.
Commissioner Scamilla?
Aye.
Commissioner Leo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pham,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ramos,
Aye.
Chair Oliva.
Aye.
Motion approved by unanimous consent.
That concludes the administrative matters. Moving on to staff comments.
Thank you, Chair. I did have 2 items to share with the commission tonight. At a few meetings prior, Vice Chair asked for an update on the One Broadway Plaza project. Currently, the project has active grading and building permits for the foundation, and their last inspection was April 15th of this year. So the project is active. Additionally, the applicant has recently submitted an application to amend their specific development number zoning district. So they're looking, or they're proposing to amend the document to allow additional residential units there. It's currently still in review. However, the project is subject to the Sunshine Ordinance. So the project webpage will be posted and updated with meetings and anything related to the project as it continues forward in the process. The second item I'd like to share is just to congratulate Ali going from acting executive director to now being our permanent executive director. Congratulations, Ali. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the commission have any closing comments or questions for staff? Commissioner Benninger.
Yes, I'd really like to thank Commissioner Pham, Commissioner, our present chair and vice chair. I've attended another commission meeting this past week, and unfortunately, the chaos was unbelievable. Motions were not seconded, they weren't presented properly, they went off topic constantly. And so I really appreciate the leadership we've had on this commission and hope that I can continue it. Thank you.
Commissioner Escamilla.
All right, congrats, Ali. Well earned, well deserved. Oh my gosh. Providing an update from the Historic Commission to the rest of our folks here is, I guess, still proceeding to work on the mural, the historic designation for different mural resources in the city. So that's still continuing to move forward. And our planning managers, acting planning managers, update on oh my gosh, One Broadway reminded me of, can we also get an update on 3rd and Broadway as well? So that's the other question as far as, the entitlements there and what's going on with that particular project, if we can.
Commissioner Leo.
I'm glad you asked about One Broadway Plaza. I was actually here when I voted on the project. So I'm glad to hear that the landowners finally decided to move them out.
How long ago was that, though?
That was about 20 years ago, I think. About 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize it was going to, I'm not going to make any comments about the applicant at this time. I did want to share something about the emphasis on shop local and help small businesses. Alan, he and I were just talking about it earlier, and help your neighbors. I feel like we're back in COVID times with certain outside circumstances causing people to stay home. So if you can help your neighbors and shop local, that would help the city out a lot. So with that, I'll pass it along to whoever's next, but definitely help your neighbors, and if they're shut in or they're unwilling to go outside, do the shopping for them if you can.
Vice Chair Ramos.
Thank you. First, thank you all for the vote of confidence. I don't take it lightly, so appreciate it. And then also, thank you, Leo, for that, Commissioner Leo, for that. Just want to echo all of that, and also take the opportunity to share a phone number for the Orange County Rapid Response Network that is doing a lot of the work on the ground. So they are doing ICE verifications. They're also able to help if anybody, has been detained. And like Commissioner Leo said, if you've also just been out of work or are fearful to go out and get your groceries, you can also call them. They have over 200-300 volunteers that are willing to go out and assist however they can. So I'm going to give that phone number now. So it's a hotline, 24/7. That phone number is 714-881-1558. Again, that phone number is 714-881-1558. And I just ask everybody to make it a contact if you don't already have it, and please share it widely. Thank you.
Commissioner Pham.
Congratulations, Ali. Well deserved. And congratulations, the new chair and vice chair. I'm hoping that we'll be as unruly as the other commission, but you'll put us in our place. Apart from that, something happened this Sunday that kind of shook me a little bit in the city. And I just want to bring it up just as a general kind of, I would ask the residents to kind of keep everyone safe in your own family. I was at First and Harbor, about to make that turn, and just in front of my eyes, that drive-by. And what was sad was that in the same street corner was, I want to say a high school, a couple of middle schoolers collecting funds for a funeral of another kid, right? And then you see that incident, the little girl is just dropping onto the ground. They all instinctively knew to drop to the ground, holding each other. And it's sad to see that then they just pick themselves up like, they accepted it, that this happens in our city, and that you just move on, right? And it's incredibly sad because you're collecting funds for your friend who God knows what happened, and then in the act of doing so, there's a drive-by. And First and Harbor, which is crowded, right by a church. I walked to school on that same exact street every day when I was younger, and it was at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon. If it was a Sunday, it could have been a weekday. Kids could have been walking home. Very horrible. And you hear stories about it, but when you actually see it in front of you, you see the gun and you see the shots, it's unnerving to know that it happened so close to all of us. Sorry to bring down the mood, but I would just say, just encourage your children and just anybody to just keep an eye out, be aware of your surroundings, and encourage others not to be so hasty in their actions. That's all.
Commissioner Wu.
Congratulations, Ali, and congratulations to our chair and vice chair. I think we got a pretty good planning commission and great staff. Along the line of what Commissioner Leo was talking about, I happen to be the director of the Unhate OC with the Black Chamber, part of the Orange County Black Solidarity Network. And as I work with the Black community, I know that there are the Black community and there is a disconnect of the Black community from other communities in terms of their struggle and their pain. And I say that because I just posted a video of an Asian American professor talk about Asian American study. And he talked about what we are facing today in terms of the immigration issue and the occupation. We've been here before, but the people that fought that was the Black community. And we learned everything from the civil rights, and we stand on those shoulders. But we also stand on the shoulder of Filipino farm workers that start with the farm workers. And my cousin was there in California with the farm workers up in the valley, and then he came down here and worked with the UAW. And as such, he grew the Asian Pacific American Labor Union. And I was just at his funeral to see the number of political people from Polanco to Congressman Judy Chu, Mike Ng, and all these, LA and San Gabriel Valley, to know that we were defined in Chinatown, but we moved out to San Gabriel Valley, that my cousin Mike became councilman and ran for mayor, would not be possible unless we build a coalition across groups. People that look like Manny, that looks like Carl, that looks like all of us in this room. We run Orange County, yet we're still facing the fact that we're not accepted as citizens. So I think one thing is we lost, to answer Commissioner Leo's question, we lost our social compact. We lost our connectivity as community. We're lucky that we happen to be active and we're involved and we get news of things. But at the community level, my wife and the Artesia Pilar are starting to distribute kits that we got from Okapica, Orange County Asian Pacific Islander Community Alliance. And these are made for neighborhood association leaders so they could discuss and talk and distribute information to their neighborhood part, which has some of the numbers that Yuri was talking about. So what makes me grateful about the city is this. When things like this happen, we do come together and we start working together and we help each other and we start teaching each other. With every march, there are people also there doing training on organizing. So that's the kind of city we are, of which you are coming up with the planning ordinance, the zoning, and CPUC, and we're looking to see how this all fit into the general plan. And so, again, I like to, if it's within our purview to do studies, I like to see how we could look at how terrorism and hate is a health issue. And one of the primary goals in our, to build a healthy community is in our general plan, right? So this kind of attacks that because it's a very health issue. I was sharing with Commissioner Leo that, the day before yesterday, my blood pressure was 180 over 100. And when I Google that, I say, well, shoot, you're having a heart attack. But I'm looking at, well, I'm retired. I'm sitting home. Why am I stressed out? And I realized it has to do with the fear of being denaturalized and deported, and I'm not alone in that. I see my neighborhood have signs like profanity towards a certain person, at the top of the food chain. And I was elated to see neighbors, whether they're, Hispanic or not, all kind of coming together around that. But at the same time, we're not making different to change the policy. So, but I'm glad that our city is taking a stand. And we've done this, these things where we are coming back and we have elected officials like County Supervisor Sarmiento leading the way out there. And you guys that could still march without a cane, I'm grateful that you're out there doing your thing. All I could do is do my social media thing and my podcast, things that we do. So I'm grateful for that we can have a city that we got that award for out there, the Golden City Award, at the All-American City. We're not perfect, but we are representative and we're growing more representative in terms of what we're doing. So it's the social contract that I like to see us get together, because sometimes we're not supporting the movements of each other, because it seems that the way that it is being described is so secular and particular to a group that it doesn't seem to include people outside of that group. So, but, we can talk. We can get it together and see what we're going to do. So just want to leave the same thought that Commissioner Leo was saying, that, we're taking care of ourselves, and that's kind of good. And I think we have a lot of administrators that understand what we're trying to say. Okay, on a small business and,
I would recommend that you and any other commissioner that have these macro level sort of requests for studies or policies communicate with the council members that appointed you, because they do require funding allocations, and they're not necessarily related to the day-to-day land use decisions that this commission is in charge of. So it's great, and I always encourage our commissioners to communicate regularly with the council members that appointed them, and I think this is a topic that should be not necessarily directed to the planning and building agency, who's well, solely to the planning and building agency, let's put it that way, but because it's so cross-departmental and affects economic development and folks in our housing authority and others, that it be sort of brought up to the council members in your regular communications with them.
Yeah, because prior to this, most of our PUC was about expending the alcohol, per permit, and today was, more meatier stuff. So, but if we have all this, sources of alcohol so close to each other, why aren't we so happy? So.
I just want to say congratulations to Holly for your new position, your new role, as well as our new chair and vice chair. Congratulations, y'all. And I want to just say thank you for allowing me to be your chair for the last year. It's been an honor, y'all. It's been fun. Thank you for your patience with me. It's been a learning process, but it's been fun. With that said, this meeting is now adjourned. The next regular meeting is scheduled for July 28, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.